But this year it could be. So we have recently been in 2016 for about half a month now, and a lot of gaming outlets I think have noticed at the moment that there isn't actually much going on in the games news this week, apart from the HTC Vive announced. So if anyone thought the Oculus is too expensive, you can hold off a bit and maybe spend a bit more on the Vive when that gets announced, because it is probably going to be even more expensive, I think, than the Rift. We've had nothing official yet over what it is. I did see they said they were going to try and keep the Vive. I think it was the Vive within like the same price range as like a new console. So hopefully some people will be able to get on VR this year for a bit more budget than what Oculus are asking for. It's probably not going to be the case. I think you'll probably need either have to do it through a Samsung phone or just wait for the Oculus to come down, which will probably be next year or so, I guess now. Or maybe Sony. Sony still have hope with the cheap PlayStation VR. But yeah, I don't know. So as there has been quite a slow this week, I thought this week, to start off, we'll give a couple of predictions about what we think is going to happen in 2016 in the games industry, and give a bit of an outline of what we can expect over the next sort of 6 to 12 months to come from game developers, and where I sort of think the industry is going as a whole. So before we start this, I have to specify that basically Rob and Tom don't know anything that I've written down. Do you guys?
No.
So my predictions could be horrifically wrong, and everyone might disagree with them. But I've tried to go a bit safe with them. So there's nothing. Well, I don't know. Maybe one of them is a bit like contentious. I can see some people getting annoyed at some, but I think mainly that everything's like pretty straightforward. So for the first one, I think I've made like a couple of slides or like a couple of bits where you can see, and some of them aren't great, but some of them are all right. Okay. So my first prediction of 2016 is that we're going to see a growth in subscription services for games. And I think we're going to start to see sort of things like Spotify, Netflix, and Amazon's like Prime and Instant Video. And I think we're going to start to see similar services from that coming from all the main developers. Because, if you look at films, over time now, they've got a subscription service. You've looked at music, which has now gained a subscription service when you're paying so much a month to get it. And I think it's only right that we're going to see games next. Now, there has been a couple of early players to this. So Origin have actually recently announced their Origin Access service, which you can pay, I think it's about $4.99 a month for in the UK. And through that, you get to play pre-release of trials of games, and you also get full games in their collection, which sounds like a pretty good deal if you're looking to buy. I know Dragon Age Inquisition's on there already. And there's also PlayStation Now, which allows you to rent and stream games. So it's not exactly Netflix because you still have to pay per machine. But at the moment, there's about 260 games on that library now, and I'm sure it's continuously growing. And the other thing is, we saw On Live come a couple of years ago and slowly disappear, mainly because of internet issues. And I think that we're going to see the internet sort of speeds typically increase a bit over this year for some countries to allow sort of game streaming. But irregardless of that, I think we're still going to see some sort of subscription service come out, as opposed to like having to buy each game upright and just the typical stuff we do now. So I guess Rob and Tom, or Rob, so what do you think for Netflix for games this year? Will we see it? Will it start, do you think?
I think looks like they've tried in the past and failed. I think it'd be harder to get into the console market because now whichever console you've got, you're paying a monthly subscription as it is, and another monthly subscription on top of that for games is possibly asking a bit too much. I looked at now. I can't remember how much it was last time I saw it, but that was way too expensive for what it was. On the off chance that when I got to play a game, it was a ridiculous amount. If on the basis I probably wouldn't use it very much. So maybe on the PC, if it spans across the different DRM bases that there are, but I don't know. I wouldn't put any bets on it personally.
No. Tom, what do you think?
I think its biggest holdback is internet speed. If you're gonna stream, I mean, I can see it working because I used to have online, whatever it was called,
On Live,
when that first launched, and I had that for about 3 or 4 months, and was just like, there's no titles I want to play in it. It needs the newer titles in it, but then it gets in that circle of, in order to get the newer titles, it needs to up its price. And unless it gets a lot of worthwhile into it, people aren't going to pay it. And then while you're streaming it, it's just, I don't think the average internet speed in majority of countries is there yet. Maybe if you paid a subscription fee, you managed to let you download the game onto like its own client, and you could play it locally, but you needed that login in order to play it.
Yeah.
Potentially, because then you set the game up to download overnight and you've got the game locally, so you're not streaming it. But as soon as you stop paying your subscription or you cancel your membership, you've no longer got access to that game until you repay.
Kind of like how the free games for PlayStation Plus work.
Yeah, effectively,
you can them, you can play them whenever, but if your monthly subscription runs out, that's kind of better. But still.
I think, yeah, especially when you look at some like countries where internet really isn't that great, like go down to like Australia and stuff, where they really don't have the greatest of internet for the majority of time. They're never going to be able to use that service. You're not. I mean, even in-house, like Steam's got its in-house streaming with the Steam Link and stuff. And that's not even going outside the house. It's using your internal network. And even that's like, yeah, we recommend you have wired. We recommend you have a high-speed internet. And me using that, sometimes even that's laggy, and I'm just streaming from my bedroom to my lounge. I think in order to make it work, you've basically got to have it. You download the content locally, and then you just have access to it, like PlayStation Plus, like Games with Gold.
So I think I've been deliberately vague in my description also. I haven't said that there's going to be like a streaming service coming out. I've said there's going to be a subscription service. And I think eventually, I mean, I've said here before that I think that my opinion of it is that we are eventually going to move to cloud gaming, and everything's going to be in the cloud, and there's going to be no hardware sort of on here at all. But I think as well that we are gonna. I think there's space for it now. Like if you could just pay every month, and you know, even if you had to download the games on a client as well, you know, if you had good DRM and you had it all locked down behind there, or maybe it connected into the different clients and you did I think it's like Robert Tom said, like you need the key, the account active in order for the key to work. That would be good. But I mean, how do you think companies like Steam would react to this? Do you think they would? Because if you look at any of the sort of the game developers or people now, with the most to gain from this kind of model, it would be a company like Valve with Steam. So I guess to Tom, then, what do you think would happen from Steam?
I think they've got the big way up of what they can charge and what they can offer, really. Because if you're going to keep it where I'd say like your standard, what I'd say sort of is your acceptable price as a monthly subscription. So you look at Spotify and Netflix, they're between £6 and £10. That's kind of probably what most people would be willing to pay at most. I can't see people wanting to pay £30-40 a month for it. But then you've got to offer a good enough quality of games for that. And I think a lot of companies are going to have a hard time offering the games at a price point that's people are going to want. Have it for everyone. Because if they can't really make it available for the majority of people, there's probably not much point in doing it. You may as well stick with the model you've got and just sell the games. Whereas if you can get most people onto it, it's probably better value for you. But again, if you're paying £10 a month tops and you put a brand new £45 game into that and someone completes it within a month and cancels their subscription, you've lost £30. I think that's sort of where one of the bigger holdbacks of it is at the moment. Yeah,
I think as well though, if you look at stuff like Steam, with it, I think Steam could inevitably be the blockbuster of games in a way, because you've got I think all those challenges where people couldn't make enough money, whether it's streaming games or downloading games through, you're still going to end up. I think there's still going to have to be this move, because as you get more and more content, you're just going to need more. There's going to be enough demand there for people wanting to play old games and to play everything. And for PC, it is like the perfect platform to play on, I think. With a £10 price point a month, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they're going to pay developers. But for older games, anything that's over 5 years old now that maybe isn't on the shelf, so people can't purchase anywhere else, that still adds there a little sort of revenue stream, which people could play old games, remastered games for a lot cheaper. And I think now that there's a back library where we could do something like that, and it could be released.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I think potentially maybe to start with, use it on indie games and stuff like that. So developers could sign, like Steam had this monthly subscription that lets you access this library of indie games. They charge £6-7 for it, which is probably about your price of an indie game roughly on Steam. Rob will probably correct me and say I'm wrong there, but is that about right? So you get your developers to sign up for it. They go, I want my game to be part of this deal, and they sort of just build effectively a fan base around this surface.
Okay.
I think would be a lot better start than trying to get AAA games and big title games into this system, because the price point would just knock it out, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's some interesting quotes in the chat as well. So, Alienaire X Quatrox had said, speaking about OnLive and streaming, by the way, the thing I hate most was the latency. With a local co-op game, you could just play, and if you're at 60 frames PS, 60 FPS, especially people like me have a high refresh rate panels, you're super buttery smooth. Streaming, however, has the thick soup kind of feeling to it, regardless of the internet speed. Might be fine for strategies or adventure games, but definitely not for shooters. I mean, Rob, from your experience, or Tom from OnLive, do you think is that a fair assessment? Do you think, or
that it's a very fair assessment? It's again, even going back to new technology with the Steam Link, it's fine for turn-based games, strategy games, things where you don't have to react in fractions of a second. First-person shooters, even down to third-person shooters, where if you're getting shot and you're playing like high difficulty, something one shot kills you, and you're being shot from behind, the latency is a problem. You can't turn around normally and react quicker than the game decides it's killed you.
Yeah.
I remember when we had the NVIDIA Shield in the office, and I tried it on there. And at the time, I don't know if they've changed it, but they only had a streaming option available. I was playing Tekken X Street Fighter, and you'd throw a punch, and then it would freeze, and then the enemy would be on the floor, and then it would freeze, and then you would be on the floor. And you're like, I can't. How do I play this? There's no way I can keep up with what's going on. So yeah, it was messy. There's a lot that they need to work on if that's going to take off.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Sorry. I'm sure a lot of people have played like an MMO like World of Warcraft or something where they're having slight server issues, and you kind of just rubber band all over the place, or you think you're moving somewhere and you're actually currently stuck on a tree a minute ago. The game just hasn't caught up with you yet, and you try to imagine doing that in a fast-paced environment. It's just not going to work there.
So I sort of want to ask you a technical question now that maybe does make sense in my head, but is actually quite a stupid question to ask. But so if I'm playing Call of Duty now on my computer, and I'm running around, moving my mouse, and that's all getting picked up and then getting sent across to a server to pick up, and then it's going through, and I'm reacting to stuff. What's the difference of the latency you would typically get between like sending just like a controller input message? So if I press the A button, for example, and then it goes up to the server, and it goes come back down, and then whatever the A button does, it shoots. What's the big difference between doing something like that and the way that games online already work?
I'd say a lot of it's down to you don't send all that information across to what would be the server. So all your controller input, all your keyboard mouse input, all stuff like that is only ever handled on your, well, I say normally only ever handled on your machine. The server has no concept of what you're doing there. The server just knows sort of where you are in the world, where everyone else is in the world, and effectively, if you go and shoot a thing, where bullets are in the world, effectively. So you hit an A on like a game you've got downloaded on your computer will handle A. The server will then go, okay, he's moving up in the air. That's all we need to know about. If you're streaming the game fully, you'll have to send all those commands to the server. So instead of your computer handling press A, your local end doing all the stuff and then sending just position off, it's got to go, he's pressed A, send that off, send back what you should see, but then also send to the server what should be happening, and then send that to everyone else as well.
Yeah.
that's sort of a big difference. It's just the server handles everything then instead of just the important stuff.
Okay. And Rob, do you agree with that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it works. So.
All right, Tom, I
Just
believe you this time.
This time.
Okay.
Say stuff with enough confidence, it gets by. It's fine.
And as well, so I guess a risk prediction to chat as well, and to Rob and Tom. Do you think, bottom line, we're going to see a subscription service for games come out in 2016 where people pay a fixed fee a month and get to play a fixed library of games? Tom, what do you think?
Well, they already exist, so I think we'll see them. I don't think they will be mainstream though. I think people will, at the moment, will still stick to buying their games.
Okay.
Okay.
Got
I would
it.
agree. I can't see them becoming a big thing anytime soon, if at all, depending on how IPs and stuff are going to manage things in the future.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to go with me being right there, I think, for our first prediction. And yeah, we'll have to... Well, you guys agree with me now, so if we're in this one, then yeah, I think I'll go ahead. Chat haven't said much yet. Yeah, people are going to say it's going to start. To be fair, this one's kind of half-assed because because they have already released Origin Access now. They have actually started doing this. But yeah, no, I think we're going to see it growing. I think that's quite a safe prediction to make there, and that's what's going to happen.